Hello and welcome back to Mancinima. First of all, apologies. It's been a long time since I've done a film review for you. Unfortunately, I've just been too busy. We are kind of gearing up on my own films at the moment. We're trying to get my own films back into production. I'm doing a lot of writing, a lot of rereading of the older scripts, and a lot of plotting and putting crews together and things like that. So hopefully I'll have some of my own movies to show you very soon. If you want to see some of my older movies, they are showing on my other YouTube channel, which is Mancini Pictures Limited. And there's a link, or I'll pop a link in the bottom of this film review so you can pop over there and have a look and give the films a like. You know, they were made on no money whatsoever, so don't expect great things. They were made about 18 years ago, is the eldest one. But they seem to be getting lots of views already, so if you guys want to pop over and see some of the films that I made about 18 years ago, Mancini Pictures Limited is the YouTube channel that you need to look for. Anyway, as I said, let's get back to film reviews. The last one I did for you was around the 25th of March, and that was Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. There's been a few films that have come and gone in the interim. We've had Godzilla x Kong, Kung Fu Panda 4, and a few others. I've seen them at the cinema, but because I've been tied up with this, I haven't been able to do a film review for you. So this is the first bit of time that I've had to be able to come and do a film review for you. So the movie we're looking at today is a movie by the directors called Radio Silence, which is Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette. And it's called Abigail. Now, these guys last worked on the last two Scream movies, which were very good. I really enjoyed Scream, or Scream 5 as it was known, and Scream 6 was my favourite film of last year. So I was really looking forward to Abigail, and I must say, without spoiling too much right at the beginning, it doesn't disappoint. So what is the story of Abigail? Well, we have 6 random people thrown together to go and do this heist where they have to kidnap this young girl and take her to another house. And this young girl is the daughter of somebody who's very wealthy, and they're going to hold her as a ransom to get this massive payout. I think they said about 7 million each it works out at. And all they have to do is hold her in this house for 24 hours, and that'll be the deal. You know, come daylight, then they'll get their money and they can go off and spend their riches, if you like. They all come from very different backgrounds. You know, very unscrupulous backgrounds in some circumstances, and they don't know one another, so they've got to get to know each other, work as a team, trust one another, and that kind of thing. What they don't realise is that the young girl that they've kidnapped is actually a vampire, and of course she is locked in this room, and she kind of teases with them, and then all hell breaks loose. I don't really want to get too much more into it because there's a lot of twists and turns in this movie. And to say any more would actually be to spoil the movie for you. But yes, it was a very good film. I was looking forward to this one. I loved the trailer. The one thing I will say is that the trailer, if you can avoid it, that would be great, because I think it kind of gives away a little bit too much. There's a few scenes that might have been better left in the final film rather than revealed in the trailer. So if you can avoid the trailer and just go and see Abigail at the cinema without any of that knowledge, that would be fantastic. You'll get a better ride out of it, if you know what I mean. You'll get a better experience through watching the movie without having seen some of the things that were spoiled in the trailer. That said, everybody gives a fantastic performance. Lead of the film is Melissa Barrera, who was also in the Scream movies, the last two Scream movies. She gives a fantastic performance as Codename Joey. I say Codename Joey because that's not their real names. They're all given these kind of fake names as they go in because nobody's supposed to know one another. So she's kind of given the codename Joey. And then we have Dan Stevens, who you may remember from a film called The Guest, which he was fantastic in. He was also in Beauty and the Beast as well, a little while back as well. And he's also in Godzilla x Kong as well, playing a very different character. He's a very versatile actor, and I think he's one to watch for the future. But yeah, Catherine Newton from, she was in Freaky, so she's been in a few horror films now. She was in Freaky. She was also in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, playing Scott Lang's daughter, the grown-up Scott Lang's daughter. And she's been in a few things, and I think she's carving a name out for herself as a bit of a horror actress. So she's a new Scream queen. We've got Melissa Barrera as a new Scream queen, and they're all coming up through the horror ranks, which is fantastic. The little girl who plays Abigail herself is absolutely amazing. I think her name's Alicia something. And I'll pop that up on the screen if I can find the surname. But yeah, her name's Alicia something, and she is really great as this, first of all, kind of very timid, very quiet, very scared little girl who's been kidnapped, and she doesn't know what's going on, and she's leading them into this false sense of security, and she's in this house, and she's kind of working the Melissa Barrera character. She's kind of working her because she knows that she's got sympathy. She knows that she's got a child of her own, so she's kind of playing off that. And then at a certain point in the story, the tables turn, and she becomes this fierce vampire, and she's really mean. She's absolutely fantastic in the role, and she gives it an absolutely brilliant performance. I will say the movie does kind of slog at the beginning as you're beginning to get introduced to everybody. It takes a little while while they're all in the house kind of pecking off one another. You know, I know you'll do this and I know you're this kind of person, that kind of thing. So it takes a little while for that part of the film to settle down, the first act, if you know what I mean. But once she turns into the vampire, all hell's let loose. If you're a fan of gory movies, there is a lot of blood in this film. It's literally everywhere, especially towards the end of the film. It's like they must have had gallons and gallons and gallons of the stuff. It just sprays everywhere. So if you like a good gory movie, this will be the one for you. Also, it's got a great sense of humor as well. If you saw the Radio Silence's earlier movie, which is Ready or Not, it's very similar in vein to that. It's kind of got that kind of black humor running throughout it amongst all the horror. So it very much reminded me of Ready or Not. It also reminded me of moments from the Scream series, and of course this is all tied up in the latest movie, Abigail. But yeah, I think you guys, if you love your horror movies, I found this one to be fresh, exciting, a lot of fun. I had a lot of laughs in it. I had a lot of, there's a lot of tense moments in it as well. The build-up is very great. There's a couple of moments in the film that a lot of horror directors and other directors are actually doing at the moment, where they don't seem to hire a lighting director, and you've got this creepy scene going on, and you can't really see what's going on because it's too dark. So come on, guys, let's get those lighting directors in there and lighten up just a little bit. Just give it a little bit of, you know, what you're showing us. All these special effects, all these grand makeup effects and things like that, we can't really see them because you're making things too dark. So if you can just lighten it up a little bit, that'd be fantastic. But yeah, Abigail, I thoroughly recommend you go and see it at the cinema. It's one of the best horror movies that we've had this year. There hasn't been very good ones this year, have we? We've had kind of Night Swim, we had what was the other ones? Imaginaries. So those films weren't actually very good. But this is one of the best of the bunch. I think it's probably the best horror movie of the year that I've seen so far. I don't know what else has come later in the year, but this is certainly one that I would recommend that you go and see at the cinema. Giving it a mark out of 10, I'd give this one a solid 8 or 9 out of 10. I mean, I really did enjoy it that much. I found it refreshing because those movies that I've mentioned previously have been kind of so bad and so lame. I found this one to be thoroughly refreshing, so I think you can actually go in and really enjoy this one and really come out with a smile on your face. Now, whether they're going to do a sequel to Abigail or not, I don't know. It depends upon how well this one does at the cinema. But I think there's potential. I think there's more growth to the character, more growth to the team and stuff like that. So I think there is potential for another Abigail episode. But again, it depends how well this one does at the cinema. But yeah, go and see Abigail at the cinema while it's at the cinema. And I hope you'll have a great time with it, as I did. Now, we've just got time to talk about another film that came out a couple of weeks ago, which unfortunately I didn't get around to reviewing for you, and that movie is The First Omen. Now, I saw the trailer for The First Omen when it was at the cinema. I saw it flash up. It kind of came out of nowhere, that film, didn't it? When nobody really knew it was being made, it's just flashed up, and all of a sudden there's this film, The First Omen, and it's coming out like in a couple of months' time. So I saw the trailer and I looked at it and I thought it was too flashy, too visual, all the backwards walking things and the bug going up the girl's eye and stuff like that. I thought, oh, this isn't going to be very good. I think this is going to be a terrible film. It looked awful. However, I kind of forgot about the film. I thought, well, I'll go and see it when it's coming out. I know it's going to be terrible, and I'll just forget about it. And then all these reviews started coming out from the previews in Hollywood saying it's a really great prequel. It's a really great and worthy prequel to the original Omen. I thought, really? Now, like I said, I'm a great fan of the 1976 Omen. I love the Lee Remick, Gregory Peck, Harvey Stevens, David Warner. It's a fantastic movie. It's seen a number of times over the years. I'm really invested in that movie, and it's one of my all-time favorites. So when somebody tells you that a prequel's coming out that is a worthy prequel to the original Omen, it suddenly makes me kind of poke my ears up and go, really? Oh, okay, let's go and give this a chance. So I went into the cinema and I sat and watched The First Omen. The first thing I felt is that it was very similar story-wise to a movie that I'd seen weeks before, which was Immaculate. Follows the same kind of strength. In Immaculate, obviously we've reviewed that, is they're trying to bring about the birth of Christ. Now, obviously in this movie, they're trying to bring about the birth of the Antichrist. They're trying to bring about the birth of Damien, the Omen. Obviously, we don't know that he's going to be called that just yet because he gets named later on in the actual 1976 movie. So yeah, I was kind of going in expecting to feel visually and in mood very much like that 1976 film, and I've got to say, unfortunately, I was very disappointed. It was exactly what I was expecting from the trailer. I thought it was too modern. I thought it was too visual. I thought that there was, too many flashy cuts, too many arty close-ups, too many moments where it just felt like a modern film. And what I wish they'd done is I wish they'd looked at the grain of that 1976 film and kind of downgraded their film to match the grain, so it at least felt like it was part of the same world. But I felt it was too glossy, too shiny, and it didn't really kind of feel like an Omen movie to me. Now, the one thing that I will say is that I felt that the First Omen had too many visual effects. Now, that's going to be a bit strange, isn't it? It's a strange thing to say when you're expecting a horror movie, you expect some kind of visual effect. And I don't really mean in the sense of the kill scenes. You know, you need them for the kill scenes, that's great. What they do in this movie, however, is that they kind of characterize a demon. So instead of the First Omen where everything was implied, you know, you've got Damien and you've got the devil dog and people doing things all around Damien. You never once saw a demon personified or portrayed on screen. You didn't need to see those visual effects of a creature. However, in this film, you do see a creature, and I felt that it took me out of the film. Once again, it took me away from it being an Omen film, and it felt like one of these kind of cheap knockoffs. Which is a shame because, I mean, you know, you can tell that money has been spent on this film. The direction is actually great in this film. And all the acting is fantastic as well. Bill Nye is a little bit off, maybe. But yeah, I just felt that it drew me out of the film. I want this to be an Omen prequel. I want it to feel and have that mood of the Omen prequels. I'm sorry, the Omen movies. And by putting a creature in there and personifying this demon, it seems to kind of downgrade it a little bit, seems to devalue it a little bit. So I was a little bit disappointed in that. Kill scenes, as I say, they've got a few omenish kill scenes in here, but there's not that many. I felt that there could have been more and they could have been built up better. There's one that's pretty much a direct copy of one of the ones that happens in the original Omen film, in the original 1976 ones. One is like a direct copy of that. There's another one which is kind of okay. It's kind of gory and goopy, but it's okay. But I didn't think it was that fantastic. I just felt that a little bit more time could have been spent on maybe emphasizing that the evil's out there and kind of building up this suspension of terror, you know, and all this business, rather than visually showing it to me like, oh, here's a demon. Seeing a visual demon like that doesn't scare me, doesn't give me the creeps, doesn't give me tension, no suspense whatsoever. It's just like, there's a demon, who cares? Whereas in the original Omen films, it was all suggested and implied, you know, was Damien actually evil, or was all these stories that were being told around him and all these bad coincidences that were happening around him just literally that, coincidences? You know, you never really knew until kind of towards the end. And I felt that this movie was kind of missing some of that, and I really felt that they could have built into that, I don't know, that suspense a little bit more. Another thing I will say is that, is this film absolutely necessary? I mean, you've taken what essentially could have been a prologue, like a 10-minute prologue, which you could have slapped on the beginning of the original Omen film, you know, and then run with that. Whereas what they've done is they've drawn this film out, made a whole story about it, and it does feel kind of baggy and saggy in areas, and it does feel like a prologue that's been extended to become like a feature film. Like I say, it's all very well done. The actors give their all and everything like that, and it's well directed, but it just feels like an unnecessary film, which is a bit of a shame. What they also do is they leave a couple of threads open at the end of this film for like a parallel sequel which could take place. So you could have like Damien and his Omen story carrying on, but then they've introduced other characters that could go on in the background, and maybe they could explore that in the background. How that's going to work and whether that's going to cheapen the original Omen any, I don't know. I really don't know how this is going to do. A lot of people seem to have liked it. Me, personally, I was disappointed. I felt that they could have, you know, if you're saying you're going to make an Omen prequel and you really want to say this is the prequel to the Omen, then you really need to do your homework and go back and make it look and feel and yeah, just literally play out like an Omen film. And this doesn't feel like it. It feels somewhat detached for me. So if I was going to give the Omen, the first Omen even, a mark out of 10, it's got to be 6 out of 10 because it's kind of just above average for me. Just for me. I mean, you know, you guys might enjoy it, but for me, I felt it was just above average. So there you go. 2 little horror films that came out in recent weeks. Obviously, Abigail came out last week and the first Omen came out a couple of weeks ago. And I'm sorry for the delayed review in that one, but I just felt like I wanted to talk about it because it was a little bit of a disappointment compared to the other Omen films, and I felt it was also very much like Immaculate, which I reviewed a few weeks ago, or maybe a month or so ago. If you've enjoyed this video and these reviews, you know what to do. Click on the thumbs up button, it really does help the channel out. Don't be a strange little weirdo, ponytail wearing thumb bandit who clicks on it that side up, because they are out there, you know, they're out there, you just got to look for them, they're strange. Please be a decent person, click on it that way up, it just helps my channel out. Also, click on the subscribe button. All of this stuff is free. Clicking on that and the subscribe button, it's all free. You just have to have a YouTube account, and you know, you don't get emails, you don't get bombarded with stuff and stuff like that. It's all invisible in the background. It just helps this channel out and encourages me to actually go off and make more movies as well. And come and have a chat with me down in the comments. Let me know what you thought about Abigail. Let me know what you thought about The First Omen. So I don't know when the next film review is going to be, because I am kind of ramping up on this other film work that I'm doing. Like I say, pop over to Mancinima Limited and have a look at the old films on there. And obviously, as we go forward into the production of these new films, I'll be popping little behind the scenes videos up on there. Obviously not revealing the whole plot of the new films, because I don't want to ruin it for you. But you might see some behind the scenes with some of the cast and crew and stuff like that. But yeah, pop over to Mancinima Limited and give that one a subscribe as well. And as usual, share these videos about. I'll be back with a film review when I can fit one in. And until then, you all look after yourselves, and I'll see you soon.